Today, we're going to be breaking down the incredible final 2 minutes and 38 seconds between Alabama and LSU in the 2021 SEC Tournament Championship. It was an incredible game, and even if I wasn't an Alabama fan, I would have still said that it was an incredible game. It was one of the best basketball games I've ever been to. The atmosphere was great, especially for a COVID game, and they were just going tit for tat there in the end, back and forth, and it was such an exciting ending. So I'm going to be breaking down the X's and O's of what kind of happened in that final stretch. So here, we're going to pick it up. Alabama's up 3, 2 minutes and 38 seconds to go. Alabama with the ball. So the first thing we're going to see here is John Petty's going to pass the ball to Herb Jones. Pretty simple. Okay, now Herb Jones has got the ball. And you're going to see John Petty start to cut this way, kind of like that. And as you can see, he's cutting. And now, LSU thinks this is going to be a dribble handoff. You can kind of see it looks like Herb's going to hand it off to John Petty here. And the way teams defend, or the way LSU defends the dribble handoff, is they're told to switch. So now Trendon Watford right here is going to switch on the John Petty, and Andre Hyatt is going to switch on to Herb Jones, thinking that Herb Jones is going to hand the ball off to John Petty. Okay, on a drive, we want our best defender, Trendon Watford, defending John Petty. That's not what happens. It doesn't get handed off, and now you've got a little bit of a mismatch between Herb Jones and Andre Hyatt, who's not as good of a defender and not as big as Trendon Watford. And Herb just exposes the mismatch, and he dunks on Javonte Smart. All right, so in this play, we're going to get a double screen. Number 4, Darius Days, and number 2, Trendon Watford, are both going to set screens for Javonte Smart. So Javonte Smart gets past the first screen. He doesn't like what he sees. He kind of backs up, and now Alabama doubles him. And Alabama always does this on screens, and it's called a hedge. And it's not really a double team. It's more of bringing an extra defender over to contain the ball handler, and once the ball handler is contained, the extra defender goes back to his man. So now we have Javonte Smart contained. So Herb Jones needs to be going back to Trendon. He doesn't really do that. You see, he thinks about going back to Trendon, and now he's back on Javonte Smart. And at this point, Jaden Shackelford's like, okay, Herb Jones is guarding Javonte Smart. So Jaden Shackelford's like, okay, I got Trendon. And at this moment, Herb Jones is like, okay, crap, I got to go back to Trendon Watford. And now Jaden Shackelford's like, oh, you're going back to Trendon Watford? Okay, now I got to go back to Javonte Smart. And there's not enough time to do that. They're both kind of switching at the wrong time. They kind of run into each other. And Javonte Smart's wide open, and he makes that 3, although you can't really see it go in. Trust me, he made it. So this play is very similar to the first Alabama play I showed. It's going to be a pass to Herb Jones, and Javon Quinterly, instead of John Petty this time, is going to cut to the basket. So he passes it to Herb Jones. And what LSU did last time is Trendon Watford switched on to the cutter, and the cutter's defender switched on to Herb Jones, and it was a mismatch, and Herb Jones got a dunk. This time, it doesn't happen. And the reason it doesn't need to be a there doesn't need to be a switch here is because Javonte Smart on LSU blows up this handoff. He's in the exact perfect position to deny the handoff. See right there? That handoff can't happen. So now, LSU knows for a fact if they can deny this handoff, they know for a fact that Herb Jones is going to keep this ball. And when you know for a fact that Herb Jones is going to keep the ball, you put your best defender on him. And your best defender is Trendon Watford. So let's put Trendon Watford on Herb Jones. We know it's going to be that matchup. Herb Jones drives in, Trendon Watford plays good defense, and it's just a disaster of a play. If we go back a little bit, you see Herb not in great position. Trendon Watford stays in front of him. Herb falls down. He just has to let go of that ball, and it's just a bad play. So LSU has this transition opportunity, and we're going to get a screen set by Darius Days. Javonte Smart goes past the screen, and as you can see, Keon Ellis is going to dig at that ball and slap that ball around, and knocked the ball loose. Okay, let's go back a little bit. Why was Keon Ellis able to slap at that ball? Well, he was right next to Javonte Smart. Why was he right next to Javonte Smart? Because Trendon Watford was right here. Trendon Watford needed to be either here or here. Because Trendon Watford is spaced where he is, that allows Keon Ellis to dig in and slap at that ball. Now, I know it's in transition, and I know it's hard to space in transition, and I'm not really blaming Trendon Watford for that. But had he been here or here, Keon Ellis is not able to get an extra hand in there and slap the ball out of Javonte Smart's hands. So he slaps the ball out of his hands. They kind of freak out. The ball's bouncing around. It comes up the court, and we got just a scrambling situation, and we get a foul. So on this play, this is after the foul. Javon Cornerly inbounds it from the baseline. Herb Jones receives the ball, and it's pretty simple. Herb Jones just drives in. Now here's a little bit of a mistake that LSU's Cam Thomas made. You can see right here, he's starting to dig in. If we go back just a little bit, he's starting to dig in to try to defend Herb Jones on the drive. And he doesn't need to do that because you've got two guys right here. And Cam Thomas is not even a good defender. You need to stay on Jaden Shackelford so Jaden Shackelford doesn't get a three. He cuts in. He's out of position. He's not able to close out in time. Jaden Shackelford gets the ball. He shoots, and he unfortunately misses it. And it's going back up the court for LSU. So this is a bit of an interesting play ran by LSU. You're going to get a double screen here. It's not really that successful. Everybody's able to recover back to their man. Darius Days is going to pass the ball to Trendon Watford. And because Trendon Watford has been such a threat today, or yesterday, Keon Ellis is going to come over and kind of double team, try to force Trendon Watford to pass this ball away. So he's not up on who he needs to be, Darius Days. And I'm not saying this is wrong, but that's just the way it was. Keon Ellis had to come over, and he had to make sure to get the ball out of Trendon Watford's hands because he'd been such a threat all day. And because of that, because he's right there and not up on Darius Days easily sets a screen on John Petty. Cam Thomas gets the ball. He's open. He's going to take that shot. It's a good closeout by John Petty. He forces a miss. But now we have a scrambling opportunity. Everybody's crashing the board, trying to get the rebound. LSU gets the rebound, and you can see Javonte Smart is wide open here. And the only reason he's open is because everybody's crashing the boards trying to get a rebound. Just a scrambling opportunity, nothing much to it. He's going to kind of pump fake, and he's going to shoot, and he's going to make it. So we're going to see Javon Cornerly drive in and fall down. Darius Days goes, okay, I got to try to steal this ball. But Javon Cornerly makes a great play, and he passes the ball out to Keon Ellis. And since Darius Days was trying to steal that ball from Javon Cornerly, he's out of position. Keon Ellis drives past him. So now you've got Javonte Smart, who's supposed to be guarding Javon Cornerly. You've got Trendon Watford here, who's supposed to be guarding Herb Jones. The guy who's supposed to be guarding Keon Ellis is now out of the play back here. So one of these guys, one of these three guys on LSU has to take ownership, has to step up and guard Keon Ellis. And that's probably going to be Trendon Watford. So if it is Trendon Watford, that's going to leave Herb Jones wide open. Well, Cam Thomas knows that Herb Jones would be wide open. So Cam Thomas here says, okay, I got to make sure I contain Herb Jones. Because if not, he's going to be wide open right under the basket, and that's going to be an easy dunk. He puts priority. He leaves the guy on the three-point line open over the guy under the basket because it's a lot easier to make a dunk than it is to make a three-pointer, obviously. So Cam Thomas is forced to stay here on Herb Jones. The ball comes out to Jaden Shackelford. Cam Thomas is able to close out, but it's not quite good enough because he's sprinting back to him. Jaden Shackelford's going to drive in, and he's now eliminated Cam Thomas from this drive. Cam Thomas can no longer get back in front of Keon Ellis. As you can see, he's way behind him. So now Herb Jones sees that Jaden Shackelford's driving in. He's going to set a screen on Trendon Watford's back. See, he blocks Trendon Watford here. Jaden Shackelford does a great job driving in. He's going to come up. Trendon Watford, the best defender, is now out of the play thanks to that Herb Jones screen. Jaden Shackelford's got enough room between him and the closest defender, Javonte Smart. He's going to lift up, and he's going to make that shot. So in this play, as you can already see, LSU's doing another double screen for Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas is going to come over. He's going to come to the screen. Jaden Shackelford goes, okay, I got to get out in front of the screen, and he darts out. You see that? He darts out in front of the screen. That's a really good job by Jaden Shackelford because he eliminates Cam Thomas from driving around this screen. But Cam Thomas makes a really crafty move. He spins around, and now he's got Jaden Shackelford behind him. Now he's driving, and now Jaden Shackelford gets screened again. So that was a really creative move. Instead of driving around this way, he spins around, and he comes back this way. So now he's starting to drive in, and Herb Jones contains him pretty well. And that's just one-on-one basketball right there. He doesn't want to try Herb Jones driving in. That's fine. I also think that either Trendon Watford or Darius Days needs to be rolling to the basket here. Because if Trendon Watford rolls and he's like standing right where my finger is, Cam Thomas can make that little pass, and that's a tough situation. Because now you got Herb Jones having to guard two guys, and one of those guys has been going off today in Trendon Watford. And, well, that's a tough situation, and that could have been a bucket. It doesn't end up that way. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. Just the way it happened. And now Alabama's able to kind of just reset because the screens just kind of blow up. So now Herb Jones has his biggest mistake of the game, in my opinion. Herb Jones is going to see Cam Thomas drive in. He's going to come over and try to contain this drive. That's partly due to the fact that Cam Thomas has Jaden Shackelford on his back a little bit. So you can give some credit to Cam Thomas for forcing Herb Jones to come over here. But Herb Jones is too far away from Trendon Watford, the guy who's been cooking Alabama all day long. And what Trendon Watford does is he cuts to the basket. And Herb Jones has his back and his eyes away from Trendon Watford. Trendon Watford cuts to the basket. Herb Jones is totally out of the play. And it's an and one, and Trendon Watford will be shooting free throws. Now, Trendon Watford misses this free throw, and it's recovered by Alabama. And this is what Alabama does great. They get out in transition, and at this point, Alabama's just pushing the ball. That's awesome. This is what Alabama loves to do. They love these situations where you've got 4-on-4, 3-on-3, 2-on-5, whatever. Just not normal half-court basketball. And at this situation, Trendon Watford is one-on-one with Herb Jones. And all that happens here is Herb Jones gets right past him. And I don't know if Trendon Watford didn't want to be physical because he didn't want to get a fifth foul. And I'm not blaming him for that. I'm not saying he's weak or anything. But Trendon Watford just had to stay here and had to try to do something to defend this Euro step. But it's filthy. It's nice. It's a nice Euro step. And Herb Jones gets past them and puts the ball in and puts Bama up by 1. And we get a Nate Oates timeout here. On this play, we've got Darius Days coming up and setting a screen for Javonte Smart, the ball handler. He comes up, he sets this screen, but instead of going this way, which is the way you would normally go on a screen, Javonte Smart decides to drive in this way. And the reason is Keon Ellis is kind of anticipating that Javonte Smart's going to be driving this way because that's the way you normally go. So Keon Ellis is kind of drifting over here, and now that gives Javonte Smart a little bit of a lane over here. Javonte Smart decides to drive in, and Keon Ellis does a really good job of getting back in front of him quickly. That's good defense. And he makes an even better defensive play as he comes up and he blocks Javonte Smart's attempt at the layup. And it's still LSU's ball, but it disrupts LSU's play. So here we get something cool from Alabama. You're going to get Keon Ellis almost playing a zone right here under the basket. He's just trying to stop any cutters from coming in under the basket and laying it in. You have to do that because if he's facing Javonte Smart, one of these guys comes around and Javonte Smart passes it to him, there's nothing Keon Ellis can do if he's facing Javonte Smart. So he has to face this way. He has to watch what's coming towards the basket to make sure no one's cutting and finding an open lane to the basket to have a dunk or a layup to win the game. So Alabama does a good job containing this. The LSU's forced to call timeout. So now LSU's got to inbound the ball. Javonte Smart throws it in, and it's just a little too high, and Trendon Watford's not quite ready to catch this ball. He's not quite ready to catch it. And it's a little high, and he doesn't get it, and the ball's coming up way out here. And now, here we go. 5.8 seconds to go. 1 point game. Trendon Watford's got the ball, and Trendon Watford has more time than he thinks. I believe that Trendon Watford thought more time had came off the clock, because as you can see, if we go back and watch this ball, he's thinking it started here. But as you can see, it's still at 7.3, still at 7.3. So now Trendon Watford's going, okay, I got to shoot, and he shoots, and that's not where Trendon Watford's strength is. Trendon Watford's strength is in the paint, scoring buckets. But since the ball was a little high, he didn't quite recover the ball. He got a little confused. He thought the clock was lower than it actually was. At this point, he's probably thinking there's 1.3 seconds instead of 3.3, so he's thinking he has to shoot. The ball might have been tipped. I can't really tell. It's an air ball nonetheless, but it's recovered by, and I can't even really tell here because there's so much chaos going on. It's recovered by Andre Hyatt, I believe. He throws it up. That ball is really close to going in, and that other one's really close to going in, but it doesn't go in, and Alabama wins the SEC championship. What an exciting finish to this game. A lot of really cool X's and O's going on, but Alabama comes out on top and wins the SEC championship. Roll Tide.